5 centuries, Mozambique has been under the yoke of Portuguese power. In the 50s, factions arise wanting to bring about political and social reforms. But the secret police, PIDA, know how to prevent this. In 1960, more than 600 Mozambicans are killed during a peaceful protest demonstration. As a consequence, the different resistance movements close ranks to form one liberation movement, Frelimo. Some years later, the freedom fighters march from the neighbouring country of Tanzania into the north of Mozambique and begin an armed struggle. At the same time, they try to mobilise the population to support them. With brute force, the Portuguese rulers try to stop the Liberation Front. But the Frelimo soldiers conquer the northern provinces and turn them into a liberated area. The Portuguese retaliate with horrifying massacres. By doing so, they lose face all over the world. Meanwhile, Frelimo scores military successes and advances more and more into the south. In the end, the young officers in Portugal, who are sick of the senseless wars in faraway Africa, organise a coup d'etat and force their leaders to open negotiations with the liberation movements of Mozambique, Angola and Guinea-Bissau. Frelimo proves to have enough popular support, and after a period of transition, they come into power. In 1975, Mozambique becomes independent. The Portuguese pull out en masse.
Esta vitória foi conquistada à custa de incalculáveis sacrifícios do povo moçambicano.
What remains is the problem of those Mozambicans who were in league with the Portuguese. Frelimo believes that everyone has the possibility to change, and was therefore willing to forgive those who had betrayed the country. But first they had to denounce themselves, so that the people would know who they were, face up to the past, suffer the shame. This rehabilitation meeting does away with the old contradiction between collaboration and resistance.
A luta continua. A luta continua.
1982. The socialist government of Mozambique, a young, independent country in southern Africa, organised a meeting of great political importance. President Samora Machel and his government leaders held a week-long session with some 1,000 collaborators who had worked by order of Portugal at the time of its colonial domination of Mozambique. People who betrayed their compatriots, sometimes even tortured or killed them. More than 100,000 people collaborated with the Portuguese. They are known as the Compromised. They voluntarily joined the fascist party ANP, or became agents of the secret police PIDA, or soldiers in the colonial army, specially trained commandos who attacked villages suspected of supporting Frelimo. This meeting is part of the final rehabilitation of people who, as President Machel said, would have gone before a firing squad in other revolutions. In Mozambique, they were left in their homes and jobs. However, they lost their civil rights, and their pictures and biographies were hung up in their workplaces. After a period of such confrontation with their pasts, the ex-collaborators were considered to be fit for integration as compatriots into the new Mozambican society. And this would seem to be the final stage. Even those who collaborated with colonialism deserve a home country, says the banner hanging above the government leaders. The President stresses that the meeting is an attempt to come to terms with history. It is going to be a tiring, emotional marathon session. By constantly probing each individual, he unravels the stories of how they had come to support the Portuguese against Frelimo and what their personal role had been.